Hello, everybody, and welcome to Artist Corner. Today, I'm joined by a special guest, Nikita. I'm so sorry. I forgot to ask how you pronounce your last name. Is
Um,
it
it it's pronounced Nikita Kryukov.
Krukov?
Kryukov. Yeah.
Cool. Well, today I'm joined by Nikita Kryukov, and today we're just gonna be talking about some music and his games that you've probably seen on Steam and itch, such as Milk Inside a Bag of Milk and the sequel, along with other games like Daiku no Medium. So yeah, is there anything else you'd like to add, by the way?
Oh, nothing.
Cool. He's also a visual novel artist, which is what his games are, if you aren't familiar with his work. Cool. So, how are you doing today, man?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Uh, a little bit sleepy, but I think it will go away soon. Not a big problem.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you're doing good. When you write music for your games, what is typically the first thing you work on? Are you focused on the instrumentation, harmony, story, or anything else at first?
Um, like from the very first years I started making music, like I developed some really bad habits. For example, like scrolling through presets in some libraries or synthesizers and hoping that some preset will give me an idea to develop it further and to make a full composition with that. Uh, and I still have this habit when I feel lazy to come up with something myself because I don't really like. Well, I tried to learn sound design from scratch, from like basic waveforms, and develop it into something full in terms of like sounding and stuff. But yeah, let's imagine I found the the ideal preset I think is suitable for what I'm looking for right now. Um, I most of the times I start with like layering the bass and basic harmonies, and when it gets to the melodies or to the rhythms, everything I've done prior to that moment, it will always change somehow. So the very first steps I did, it with a very high chance it will be rewritten to suit the melody and rhythm and the overall like mood of the track I've made. But it applies to like music, for example. I did like I how to say it? I commit. No, I I made music for money. Yeah, when I made music for money for other games, that was my basically my workflow. But when it comes to something more experimental, more ambient, like more uh, uh, like stuff like that, the workflow may vary very drastically, uh, and there is no formula. I think that's more bad than good because every time I start working on any project, it's like my mind is just blank. I have to invest a lot of time to come up with the overall understanding. It's not always the case with Milk too. Like even before I started writing the script, before I started making like sketches of the graphics and stuff, I already knew what it should sound like. Like I already knew that there will be a scene where like heavy drone metal guitar will be playing, and like I use that as a main point to build this theme upon. So the music was the central core part of that. Yeah, there are some examples when I made like 30, 50, 60 tracks, very short tracks. And then I started writing the actual game. And most of the times, a big portion of these tracks will go into the game without any change. So yeah, I don't actually remember what the question was, but I think
I think that was a good answer.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I think it's interesting that you write the music first oftentimes and then kind of write the story based on the music. We were talking previously before the interview, and you told me that one way you like to think of, I think you said this about milk outside a bag of milk. You said that you like to think of it kind of as a game, a music album. I forget how you described it. It was, I think you said that you like to view it as a music album, but a game. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. As I said previously, what I want, like what I imagine Milk to be, is not just a game you start, go through, and finish, but a game where you can stop at any time to give yourself time to breathe. And these times of like calmness, they will be always accompanied by some kind of music. There are an episode in the game where you click on the different objects, and in some sense, you can like set your own mood there using radios, because there are a lot of different tracks. I believe about 12 on each radio, so 36 in total. So yeah, the idea is that it can be a place, just a place of like relaxation and putting your thoughts together, maybe, because you don't have to talk constantly with the character, because it can be a little bit like exhausting, I think. And a lot of people, when they talk about their like emotions they got from the game, or the feelings they got, most of the times they get this like idea I put in the game, not talking about it like openly. Like they find their own moments of like calmness, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think
it's very personalized, because there are a big variety of different scenes and music, and the combination it has a chance to strike each person in a different way, I think.
yeah, I was thinking about this a while ago because when I play games, sometimes I get a bit upset with myself because I feel like I can't understand the story completely as well as someone else might be able to. But at the same time, if you think about it, these stories and games that we play are usually subjective, and it makes me feel better that that's also how you view your own story, because I noticed that how I understand the story could be completely different to another player's experience.
Yeah, I think it's not about like the analysis of what you just read. Like there is a like Latin expression in Russian, post factum, but is there such expression in English? Post factum. Like
Sorry.
after completion. Like okay.
After maybe I'll think about it.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not about the thoughts you have.
Realization.
Yeah, realization and deep analysis of what you just experienced. It's about the experience itself.
Mm.
So what you feel is never fake and is never misleading and is never wrong in any way. So even if you think about the game, about the events of the game, about the story in your own way, which is not, I don't know, supported by the majority of other players, but you felt it. And it cannot be like not true for you personally. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when you play a game that everyone, the majority of people have this one view of it, but for some reason you think of it completely differently. And it's cool because it creates a whole conversation about it and it gets people really excited about the game.
Yeah, exactly.
So, are there any well-known or obscure stories that have inspired the way you tell your stories in your games?
Mm,
Whether it's in other games or television or movies?
yeah, let me think because like you mentioned Daiku Medium, and it was my first ever game released in public. It was a as it often it is with my games. It was a visual novel contest, like with prize and everything. And prior to that, I was creating another visual novel, and this visual novel was rather generic. It has nothing, no features resembling the my storytelling right now. It was just generic visual novel with no like with nothing new basically in the genre. But I don't know. I think like I felt some dissatisfaction with that because it didn't really go anywhere.
Hmm.
And when the time for the contest came, I decided to create a little spin-off of that story. So I made Daiku Medium, and I was to how do I say it? I I wanted to joke with the judges somehow to create like very cryptic, very like intertwined storylines. So it was like against the vision I had prior, but it became my main vision after that. Like every game after Daiku Medium that had been released, it has these features present in some way or another. Oh, by the way, this game which I was working on prior to Daiku Medium, it got eventually released, like just a prologue, a short demo, and it did not have any like reaction from anyone. Yeah, especially considering that was the only time I invested some money into PR in one way or another. Yeah, and it was the only time this kind of PR was completely useless. So I decided I would never like get any paid promotions for my future games because it just it makes no sense if the game is not captivating enough by itself. Like my logic is if the game is good, it will find its audience, and the audience will spread it like within other communities, and it will grow by itself without you like participating in it very actively. Well, even if your goal is to make the most money you can make, that approach is not correct, of course. But that was not my goal, and it's not my goal either now or any time in the past.
For me personally, I've from doing this podcast, I've actually heard a lot of other people say the same thing, that they think whatever they're making, if it's really good, then that alone will carry it to a bigger audience. But do you think it's okay to share your work with people and talk about it if you're really passionate about it, and not necessarily in a, I guess, in a marketing kind of sense, but just because you want to share it with people? Do you think that would work too?
Well, there is a difference, I think, between just sharing your, like, how did you say exactly? Sharing what with
Your
people?
content or your work?
Yeah, I'm kind of confused with the question.
You're good.
Like, is it okay to share your work with people without?
I guess less sharing it as a marketing tool and more just sharing it with people because you actually, let's say you're just talking to it with your friends and family because you're excited about it. Do you think it's okay to talk to people in that way rather than, I guess, wanting to get people's attention and doing certain things to do that?
So what you mean is it okay to be as personal with the audience as you are with your friends or family? Or
Yeah, I guess so. Sorry, I might actually be saying this horribly wrong. I apologize.
no, because I have like answers for several different questions with which I think are suitable for this question, but I want to know exactly what you mean.
Because for me, I guess recently since I've been hearing this a lot, I've wondered if it's still okay to talk about your passions and talk about yourself,
mm,
because that's what hearing. I've been hearing different perspectives about that from other people I've had on.
well, I think it depends on like how artistic your approach is to sharing these like this stuff you got on your mind, because there is like a very thin line between the like artistic interpretation of something very human in basic, but it can be its own story, and even if you don't understand the implications of that story, it can still be enjoyable on its own. And on the other side of the line is basically just unedited human raw emotional stuff, which is not subject to any like artistic interpretation. And there are people who like that, who want to see like the exact reality they experience and they see around them in media too.
Yeah.
I personally not a fan of this approach, but it can still be very powerful in certain situations. So, for example, when you take Milk, any game, the prequel or the sequel, as an example, that there is a balance. There is very raw, unedited,
Genuine.
yeah, genuine things that anyone will understand because it's said straight to your face, like at face value. But there are
Yeah.
things that are so cryptic, so hidden deep beneath the layers and layers of meanings that are not entirely true, but not entirely false. And somewhere lies the original idea or meaning or event or something that is very important for the story. But even if you are unable to unveil it, you can still enjoy the. Yeah, there are guys like crawling on my building doing stuff.
You're good.
What was I saying? Ah, you
Yeah.
even if you don't understand the hidden meaning, you can still enjoy the surface meaning, and it does not mean that and it does not mean that surface meaning is worse or targeted at the audience who is less, I don't know, less willing to unpack
Dive
this
deeper.
this whole. Yeah, yeah, it does not mean that. um I don't know, did I answer your question? What
I
do you think?
I think so. I think what you're saying is that you can have a piece of art that has a bunch of different layers within it, and you can still you can talk about your art with your audience, but it's also okay to leave a lot of things unanswered for them as well. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, I think, yeah, because I can understand when you don't really want to hide the actual things you want to say. You want to just rant and like spill out everything. But if you decide to do that in a certain artistic medium, uh, be it a visual novel or a game or a movie or anything, um, you have to apply something to make it work within that medium, because of course everyone will like understand the struggles you are going through if you just talk about them like straight.
Yeah.
But if you're decided to put it in some uh, in some form, you have to understand the rules of uh, how it is applied in that exact um,
In
like
that
medium.
medium.
Yeah,
Cool. I understand what you're saying now. So it's better to it's better to leave room for interpretation for the audience rather than talk about all of your feelings or intentions that you had making your
yeah.
content.
If you feel like that, yeah. If you don't feel like that, you can tell everyone straight ahead.
Cool.
So it's both like uh, both methods are uh,
There's no wrong method.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool. So when you wrote music for the Milk games, did you get inspiration from Yume Nikki at all? If I correct me if I'm wrong, but when I listened to Choose, the one with the question mark, I heard samples from the Snowy World. Is that right?
There actually another track from Milk 2 which resembles Snow World even more. Oh, but wait a minute. You talk about Choose with a question mark
Yeah.
from Milk 2. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about the Milk 1 tracks.
We can talk about
Yeah,
both too.
yeah, there is a resemblance, I think, with the because it's 6/8 and the arpeggios is going the same way. But I don't remember if this exact track. Maybe it somehow like was etched in my mind, and I just recalled it at this moment. But actually, I was listening to Yume Nikki Fun Games music more than the Yume Nikki, the original Yume Nikki itself.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because there are a lot more variety in those
Yeah.
games. I'm not saying that the original is has no variety, but for Milk 2 especially, it was needed to have some references from very different genres that somehow work within one game, because I had different endings, different color palettes for these endings, different stuff going on. So I had to get more, like, listen to many more sides than just one side of Yume Nikki that it can offer.
Wow, so you didn't sample it at all then? You just wrote that song with your own sound design and then it somehow
Yeah,
sounded similar?
yeah. I even remember exactly how I did it. It was uh, like a simple wave in Serum,
Oh yeah.
and then I layered the noise layer, and I automated the pitch of the noise. So it, if you remember, the arpeggios are going like without any change, and this noise layer is going like that
Yeah,
with
the
its
gliding.
automation. Yeah. At
Wow.
random times, it jumps up and down.
I was almost positive that you sampled it, but that blew my mind.
Oh, and anything I have ever sampled in Milk 2 or Milk 1, but Milk 1 does not have any sampled music. I sample from my own music, from my very old tracks, basically. I don't know if you've seen it or not. I uploaded a track from 2017, from which the death music and the concrete circle
Oh yeah.
were sampled. Yeah, so I made this track and forgot about it, but it somehow came to my mind when I was like searching through my old folders, and I decided to sample it, and it it became one of the biggest tracks like that people enjoy.
Yeah,
The result.
it's one of my favorite tracks from the game too. So, do you have any favorite Yume Nikki fan games? Have you played games like Dot Flow or Yume
Yeah,
Tuki?
yeah, these two exactly.
Oh,
I have the most time of playing and
nice.
listening to the music too, of course.
Yeah, they're great games. I don't know if you've seen, there's a fan project called Yume Nikki Online
Yeah,
where you,
I've seen it.
yeah,
Yeah,
cool. For listeners who don't know, basically it's this fan project where you can play a ton of Yume Nikki fan games and Yume Nikki with people online. It's really cool.
yeah. I think that's who came up with this idea is a genius. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it actually kind of revived that style of game a bit because I've been seeing more and more pop up as of lately.
Yeah, and what I like about this project, it does not clash with uh, the intentions of the original game, because it's in some way it is about the isolation of the character. But even if you're with someone within a dream, it's a dream after all. This someone can be a character you are dreaming of, just like the other characters there are in Humanity. So it's not like it's your like shared dream with someone. It is uh, in one way, but I don't think it ruins the experience at all.
Yeah, that's a great point. Have you ever been inspired by any
By
dreams?
dreams,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I forgot that the recording was not stopped here. Uh,
You're good.
yeah, I have like I dream pretty often, but the dreams that stay with me for a long time, that kind of dreams is very rare. And I don't know what should I do to get these kind of dreams more often, because one time it's a complete nonsense, and the other time is a full story with characters, with different locations, with storylines, with the beginning and with the ending, or with the dream I have after a year can be a sequel to that initial dream.
Wow.
Yeah. So I like, it's not the dreams that inspire me, it's the like the idea you even could have dreams that inspires me, I
Wow.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's not much happening there. But the idea is that the idea of you like generating these whole new worlds, even if you're not particularly thinking about them during the daytime. That's what like I can let this thought go, and I think about it pretty often.
Have you ever tried to learn how to lucid dream? If you know what that means?
How do what?
Lucid dream? Basically, that just
Lucid.
means having a dream where you realize that you are dreaming. And then by realizing that you can learn how to take control of it.
I believe I read something about it very long time ago and didn't find that much exciting at the time, but I can like freshen this information now after the interview, and maybe it will push me to do something about it.
Yeah, I've managed to do it a couple times and it's really fun. But yeah, I'll tell you about it later too.
Yeah, sure.
So, did you make all of the artwork in your game Daiku no Medium? If so,
Yeah,
what was that process like? Are there any specific resources or tools that helped you create the art?
I'm actually very embarrassed to say that, but um, do you know what tracing is
Yeah,
in the art
I've
sphere?
done it many
Yeah,
times
yeah.
when I was a kid.
So the rules of that contest, which the Academia was made for, they did not explicitly say that tracing is prohibited, but I've I couldn't draw at all, like at all, and I didn't want to work with anyone too for several reasons. But I really wanted to make that game, so
Yeah.
I let myself do that dirty trick. But to be like to be fair, you won't ever guess what images I've traced, because I've traced only like the basic geometry, because I had no knowledge of geometry. But everything else, the faces, the hair, the backgrounds, I've drawn like from scratch. About the style itself, about the pixel art, I know how it works, like how you should apply dithering and what colors, what color palettes, and whatnot. But it's the lack of fundamentals I have. Like I understand how it should be drawn, but what lies underneath is anatomy, perspective, everything. I had no idea at the time.
Well, I have no idea how to draw even now. So I think it's still cool that you made a game like that, even when you had those limitations.
Yeah, I like every game I made. I always apply some kind of limitations on myself to like be in these to just not to stray away from the path that these limitations create.
Yeah. What are you most excited for with your new game, 1000?
First things first, this will be a very long game compared to my other games, and I always wanted to make a long story, like 6, 7, 8 hours of reading. Like it's not very long compared to like the most popular visual novels like Steins Gate or these kinds of Japanese visual novels, which are easily 50, 60, 70, 100, 150 hours to complete them like 100%. It's not something that I think I will ever be able to do, and I don't really want to. Aside from the length of the game, this time I always wanted to make an adventure story, like with a lot of characters traveling from point A to point B, then to point C, and it's exactly what I'm writing right now. So nothing is static in this game, because if you look through my previous works, Daiku is only the little cramped spaceship. Milk One, I think, is closer to a little adventure, because there is at least some movement from one point to another. Milk 2 is just one room, and that's all. But this time there will be a lot of really, really huge adventure to it.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you. Let me think what else. So, not to spoil anything.
Yeah. Feel free not to spoil anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fantasy game also. Like the setting is somewhat fantasy, not quite with like the magic and like non-human creatures, not that kind of fantasy, but more like dreamlike fantasy with very strange things happening. But as always, like the core of the story is basic human relations and emotions and understanding of between people. Yeah.
Wow. So it's more about connections in life.
Yeah, and it's like in life there are very little connections you keep like from start to finish.
Yeah.
I can say that, because life is also a journey, even if you're not physically going anywhere. For example, you're living in the same town or in the same house. It's an adventure still, but here it is the like this adventure that is going within you. Here is it's interpreted as a literal adventure through different
Oh, I see.
yeah, different like
Different parts of yourself.
yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I understand that sounds very uninteresting,
No, I
and
think it's cool.
very strange. But I really can't say anything about the story because every little detail can be spoiling.
Well, no worries. Well, can I think for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Is there anything new on a technical level of your next game?
Yeah,
Unless it
yeah.
spoils.
Um, I I'm thinking of including actual like non-visual novel elements like mm,
You don't have to say it.
yeah, it's not like a gameplay per se, but like I want the experience be close to a real game, like RPG game, but you are still trapped in the limitations of a visual novel. So I want to make you feel that you are in the big open world game, and you really want to jump in these locations and like explore them, but you can't because it's a visual novel. Well, you can in some way, but not in the way it is done in games like, I don't know, The Witcher or like Gothic or Skyrim.
Yeah, instead
Not in that sense.
instead you're doing it with your imagination.
Yeah, it's same with Milk because um, especially Milk One, the most what what it was most inspired from is Yume Nikki's traveling within these worlds, like opening doors and finding yourself in unexpected places. And I really like that feeling of like discovery, but I wanted to translate it to text format. So you are not physically moving anywhere. You are not choosing the doors or the locations you are going to, but I wanted to like capture that feeling and put it in the text format. And I think Milk 2 does this work even better with its endings and its branching paths, because there is no logic between your actions and the outcome of in Milk 2, the same as it is in Yume Nikki. It's not about logic. It's about the surprise, maybe at least the first time. I don't really count any, like, I made the game with the very first playthrough in mind. So every playthrough you do after you completed the game, it's not important to me what you do there. The
Hmm.
most important thing is what you do on your first playthrough, like when you go blind into the game. Yeah.
Well, I think that's really interesting given how there's also multiple endings to the
Yeah,
game.
yeah. Because I understood even before the game release that once you get one ending, you won't, most probably you won't go like with the same pace to get the other ending. You will skip everything you have read already, and you will go search for like the instructions people publish on Steam or somewhere else. Because I knew how it is. I played visual novels with different endings myself, and I don't really feel like sitting for another 10 hours before the very first crucial choice appears when you can decide with ending, which ending you are getting. Yeah.
Speaking of playing visual novels, are there any visual novels that you've played recently?
No, I've I've stopped playing visual novels like quite some time ago. The only visual novels I play are the games made by my friends, because there is a very like relatively small Russian community, and within that community there is an even smaller community that is like, I won't say there is a conflict between the two, but yeah, there is a conflict between the two, and I tend to stick with the smaller one in this situation, and I've got a lot of friends there, and for example, the artist for Milk 2 who made all the graphics, the sprites, and the animations, most of the animations, like the pixel one, because there is like a full anime intro and the outro.
Yeah.
These were made by different people. And I've worked with all these people already before Milk 2, and I've read their visual novels. They write their own games too. They have their own distinct styles. And I try, like with my new gut like opportunities, I try to publish my friends' games on Steam as much as I can. So if you saw it, there's like 4 or 5 games I've published. Just not like a publisher, which like dictates you what you do with your game and takes like, a part of your revenue to himself. I don't do that. Like I don't need their money because I don't want. I just want to give them a wider audience because they deserve it as well as I like. Yeah, they deserve it basically.
Yeah. And I think that's so cool of you to do. I think, yeah, that's awesome. Is there anything in particular that you'd like to talk about for your upcoming game?
No, I can't talk about anything because like right now I'm only writing the story, the main script. It's already like if you count the words, it's already bigger than Milk 2, the whole of Milk 2, but it's still about 25% of the planned story. So I can't say anything about what I plan to do with the game because it can suddenly change.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I even tried to write a like very detailed plan of the story from start to finish. But when I try to write according to that plan, I always come up with something better, and this whole plan goes to the trash because this one detail that I came up with just out of the blue, it ruins the previously established storyline, and I have to rewrite everything I've written before that. So I have no plan at the moment. It does not stop me from writing, and it always was the case with my games, I think. But the only problem is I write too slow for my liking. I would like to write faster.
Well, I think for me, and sorry to talk about myself for a second, but for me, sometimes I get worried with my own work that I make stuff too fast because I get worried that I'm not spending enough time on it. And I think it might be not a bad thing if you spend more time on something so that way you can refine it and I guess make it as close to your vision as you'd like it to be. And not to say for me, sorry, is it okay if I talk about
Yeah,
myself? I
no
feel
problem,
like
no problem. Of course.
I was just gonna say for me that when it comes to making stuff quickly, I don't know if it's a bad thing to do or if it just depends on what you're trying to get out there. if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, I think. Like, mm, I don't think it's about the like the pace or the yeah. I can't gather my thoughts.
You're good. Take your time.
Can you like briefly repeat what you want,
So
please?
basically, I'm worried about, or I guess in general, I'm wondering if it's bad to make art quickly, or if you should focus more on taking your time with it. Well, because some people can put in the same amount of quality depending no matter what speed they're making it at, because everyone has their own processes. But I don't really know how to figure out what works for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that like partially depends on your goals as an artist. And I can't say like for every art medium, but I know a lot of artists, for example, who uh, either publish one fully completed beautiful work like every month, or they post quick sketches, but they're like full of life and still made by a professional, but it's if a quick sketch and they post them every 2 days, for example. Like, um, I think it's about what you expect when you post anything, because there was a time, for example, when I was making a lot of stuff and never published it anywhere and will never publish it. And I I don't understand that like uh, this past me, because now I'm unable to do that. If I make something and I feel that's this is like rather good, I want to share it like right away, even if it's a fully completed work or a quick draft or a quick demo or a new piece of script. Like I feel that way. So I guess whatever makes you feel better, you should stick to that.
That makes me feel a lot better actually, because that's exactly how I feel. Whenever I make something, I just want to share it right away.
Mm.
And yeah, thank you for sharing your perspective on that. And I think it'll also help other people who are wondering about the same thing, I hope. Cool. Can I think for a second, by the way?
Yeah.
How are you right now?
Oh, great.
I'm
I'm a
glad.
bit hungry, to be honest.
A bit hungry, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're craving for?
Uh, yeah. Since I like live almost a year here in Japan, uh, the best thing about Japan is that anything they make is so good, especially compared to the places I used to go in Russia, because I really miss home Russian cooking,
Yeah.
and the prices on the vegetables and stuff. Yeah, but here, uh, even if you can't achieve the same with home cooking, like to fully satisfy yourself, you can go out basically anywhere, and they will deliver the best quality and the best taste of anything. Like, so I lost any preferences here, and I can eat everything here, really. So yeah.
What are your favorite restaurants to eat in the place or anywhere in, not without getting too specific, to where you are?
Well, yeah, but like for every style of like every dish, there is a perfect like the my favorite place I have. So if it's udon, for example, it's one place. If it's curry, it's another place. Like if I want something, I know exactly where I should go. Like I don't have to search for it. But if I want to try something new, I can go
Anywhere,
like anywhere,
and it'll be
like really
good.
anywhere, and I won't be disappointed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What has been the most recent thing that you tried?
Yeah. Let me think. I I went to Thai place yesterday, and I've tried spring rolls, like in wrapped in rice paper. I never tasted rice paper like before. Yeah, and I found it interesting.
Yeah,
And I also tried some dessert, like Thai dessert.
yeah,
Uh, it kind of reminded me of Russian. There is a soup in Russia. Uh, it's a regular chicken soup, but it has like clumps of dough, like just thrown in there. So it's like little dough balls, and you. So it's like soup with a macaroni,
that
but
sounds good.
yeah. And so this Thai dessert was basically the same thing, but it was sweet. Like these clumps of, I believe it was rice flour, rice dough,
Yeah.
and some type of milk porridge or something like that. Yeah, I really like that.
And yeah, you said rice paper is pretty interesting, and I thought the same thing. It kind of doesn't really have the rice paper itself doesn't have that much flavor. It's more of a
Yeah,
I
it's like
think
wrapping
yeah, yeah.
to hold stuff together.
Yeah. Are there any really good dessert places that have you gone to in your area?
Mm, no, not really. I don't like the dessert specific places like bakeries or like dessert is a thing that I eat occasionally, and I don't really care what it is. Like if it's a bar of chocolate, I'll be okay with that. I don't have any
Me
like
too.
cravings for sweet stuff. So whatever is sweet is okay if I want something to eat. But if I want something like a full meal, yeah, that's not the story. I
Nice.
know exactly what I will eat today. For example, after this interview, because I now have already like
Decided.
developed an image of my perfect dinner today. But what will I have as a dessert? I don't know. I can grab something on the way home in the store. Whatever can
Would you mind
come up.
saying what the perfect dinner for you tonight would be?
Yeah, I want to eat some fried chicken with
That sounds
a
good.
a heap of cabbage
That
and
sounds good.
a miso soup as a something to drink basically.
Nice. Is there anything in particular you'd like to talk about right now?
Um,
Whether it's about milk or your other games or
well, I would like to talk about music a little bit more,
yeah.
but if you have
Oh yeah.
something to came up with,
Just wanted to make sure there's nothing else you wanted to talk about.
maybe.
Cool. When you make music for your games, do you do you have a feeling in mind for or sorry, can I think for a second?
Yeah.
So when you make the music for your games and you have a certain feeling in mind for what the song is going to sound like, what is your thinking like to get that feeling out into the world, basically?
Um, the way I think about music and visual novels, like the way they work in visual novels, it's very, very similar to the way music works in cinema. So there is a particular scene from the particular angle, and on the exact moment something happens, the music should have some impact, for example, there, or it should stop, or it should like the music should be as dynamic as the scene itself. And visual novel has some limitations in that regard because you control the pace of your own progression of the game. So yeah, there is a common practice to when you write a visual novel, you think, right, I need to have a happy song, a sad song, a neutral song, a scary song, and a, I don't know, action chase song. And many authors like are satisfied with that because they feel they need music just to support the mood, and it's not a problem on its own. But with the style I chose for my games, even if the player has full control of what they're doing, I still make music with the concrete moments in mind from the perspective of the player. So, for example, if you take the scene from Milk 2 when the mother first appears, so you like click through the intro on your own speed, but when the mother appears, you cannot click anywhere, so the game takes control back.
Yeah.
So this face appears at the middle, this sound plays, and then the love music kicks in. And it's about 5 to 10 seconds when you cannot progress, so you have to like fully experience this moment, and only then you can progress the story further. I believe how I came up with this exact moment. I definitely knew. I um I don't know if you're like familiar with very, very heavy metal music, for example, like deathcore, death metal. There is a very, very common practice before the huge and low breakdown to ring a bell on the
Really?
cymbal of the drums. So it goes like ding, boom. Yeah, and it's the same what I did in the game. So the mother comes up with a sound, and then it goes to low chunky guitars. So yeah, I think these details like can say enough how I approach writing music.
Speaking of metal, I noticed that you're in a metal band, and
Yeah, I
I was
was.
really curious about that.
Um, yeah, that's a long story, I think. I'll try to keep it brief. So when I finished my music school, I was about 13 years old, 14. Yeah, and I got my first electric guitar. Uh, and I listened only to metal at the time and nothing else. So I like the next 5 to 6 years, I was jumping between different bands and still listening only to metal music. Like I was so like there was nothing that would have me change my opinion on any different genres of music. I really was a metalhead at the time, um, and I regret it a lot because I wasted so much time writing metal, which didn't end up anywhere. And I really have some progress in songwriting, metal songwriting, but I don't need these skills really anywhere. But if I if only things were different back then. So this band, which I published on my YouTube, it started as a one-man band project, like screamo post-metal stuff, like very emotional. And then I found some guys from my town, and we played actually for a long time and gave some live shows. And when I moved to Japan, I moved with my girlfriend and with a guitarist of that band, and we really tried to like find missing members of the band here and to start over to conquer Japanese metal scene. but it didn't go as planned, so the guy left back to Russia, and so I don't listen to metal that often at the moment. I still listen to it a lot, but I force myself to listen to other music. I started buying CDs here. I never bought CD in my life, and I choose new music. Like I never really use any streaming services like Spotify. It's blocked in Russia anyway, so right now it's okay. But I'm used to not listening to music from streaming services, and right now I still cannot get comfortable with streaming services. So I go to there is a shop called Book Off. It's secondhand games, books, and music, and a lot of other stuff, manga. And I buy any music I like the album cover of, and I've widened my taste that way a little bit.
Are there any Japanese artists that you've discovered since you moved here that you really like?
There is an artist called Pornography.
I think I've heard of. Wait. Oh wait, no.
Yeah.
There's another band that has a name like that. But
yeah, there's also a guy called Merzbow. Oh no, the Japanese word came to my mind, and the English one did not.
You're good.
I wanted to say another name because Merzbow is very wide known, of course. It's Mackenzie. It's a Japanese rap artist, but his style is very, very unique. Like there is no precise rhythm as it often is in rap music, and the instrumentals is too very industrial and very low end sounding, creepy a little bit, and I like that.
That's cool. Have you heard any Japanese metal artists that
Yeah,
really interest you?
yeah, I've visited some live shows here, and there is, I don't know if you know, there is a very big festival in, I believe it's Czech Republic. It's called Obscene Extreme.
I haven't heard of it.
So this festival contains the most trash metal genres like porno grind, gore grind, and these
Also, I might have to blur that word out for the interview. But
yeah, of course, yeah. I can answer it again, so you don't
no,
have
that's
to.
okay. Sorry.
Yeah, very, very underground genres and very disgusting imagery and anything like that. But the shows are just so much fun. They throw toilet paper rolls at the audience and the rubber dolls, full-size dolls. So, and there is a band called Gutalax. It's a Czech band, I think. And there is a Japanese band who tries to copy the Gutalax, and they really want to go on this obscene extreme fest. And I've seen they're playing. It's very, very fun. Yeah, and I also seen a lot of like screamo, post-hardcore Japanese bands. Like at first, I thought, when I wasn't so familiar with Japanese metal scene, at first I thought that Japanese like purposefully reject the rules of Western writing, how the Western bands write their music, and Japanese people reinvent the same genres that already existed at the moment, but they reinvent them with their own like vision. And I thought that's kind of strange. Why would you do that? But when I saw a lot of bands live, listened to a lot of music, I kind of understand it now, because the genres I thought are like I'm fed up with, like Japanese bands, like made me think otherwise, because I really listen to English language, English spoken music most of the time. Yeah, but it's not only about the language.
Also, you kind of found a way to, I guess, re-spark your passion for that genre by finding those different artists. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. Are there any other genres that you listen to besides metal?
Yeah, I like uh, I have a compilation of some genres I've never really gave the proper time to listen to, but it consists mostly of like kraut rock, or like very different genres from metal, like, as far from metal as it can be. Yeah, like traditional Japanese music also. So because I at the moment have no need to like listen to new music as a reference to something I should do, for example, for some other game, for some other people, because I have been commissioned stuff like Chinese music with Chinese instruments, or a music for a cyberpunk game, like fully electronic stuff. So I had to listen to a lot of that kind of music to like get the understanding of the genre. But at the moment, I don't have that need, so just I mostly listen to music randomly at the moment, with no particular like I don't search for anything like on purpose.
That's interesting. I think for me, I sometimes get worried that I don't listen to enough different types of music because my tastes are usually video game music, and then I listen to a lot of ambient music, and I also really like funk, surprisingly, which is the opposite of ambient music.
You like funk or you like funk?
Funk, or I guess I like funk too.
Can you spell it, please?
I like FUNK.
I thought you like PHONK.
I like that genre too, but there's actually a song called Murder in My Mind. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a funk song. That's pretty good. I don't normally listen to funk, but yeah.
Yeah, I think like any genre you never listen to can like get you like hooked on, or like surprised in some way or another, because like if you take funk, for example, it still uses the same instruments as many other genres, but the way of playing is different, and you
Yeah.
can really catch some interesting moments from there. Like that's exactly how the like symbiosis of genres is born. Yeah, so you can take some playing techniques, for example, or just some details from one genre and blend it in with another.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation about genres with another guest, Bill Wirtz, and we talked about it a bit, and I don't know if you agree, but I'm starting to think from talking to different musicians and just different kinds of people that I think genre is kind of it's a good term on its own for some things, but I think when you're making music, in my opinion anyway, I I think it's better to not limit yourself to a specific genre.
Yeah. Well, you have to do that at some point if you're, for example, publishing somewhere, or so you might have your own vision, but you still have to uh, be in some category in one way or another, just to let people either find your music or like I don't know. Yeah, it's a topic that can take some time.
To talk about,
So
yeah.
yeah.
When you make
So
music, do you think about it as a genre at all?
um no, because um I don't know how to classify music made as a made to accompany some kind of other medium. So even if like I make soundtracks, I think,
Yeah.
and these soundtracks can contain elements of other genres. So this previously mentioned love music, it is a visual novel soundtrack containing the elements of a drone, for example, because it is not classic drone metal, because it was made with a purpose to be used in a concrete moment, in a certain moment in the game. So in order to make the track fit somewhere in the game or in the movie or I don't know where, you might have to break the rules of genre to make it work. Yeah, that's what I think. But if it comes to like music I write with my band, yeah, I have like 2 or 3 genres that I think we can be called. Yeah, that's what I think. But it's just because this music is made to listen to it as it is, like as it like people always listen to music.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. When you mix your music, do you have any rules that you like to use while doing that to make sure your what your sounds and what you played sounds closer to your vision?
Hmm, I don't know like which exact rules you're talking about. If you're talking about the basic stuff like uh, equalizing, like cutting the low end, the compressor and limiter and all that stuff, uh, yeah, that's like out of the question, of course. But I don't really have a full vision before mixing. For example, when it comes to spatial, like for reverb and and delay and stuff, I have no clue what like what space is the track is going to be before I actually go to that part of mixing. So it depends. If I choose to create a huge space to this track to be in, it can affect the other parts of mixing process. So yeah, aside from the very fundamentals, each track is mixed a little bit differently, I think. There was a time about a year ago when I was using the most basic music creating tools, like I don't remember. Let me. Yeah, there is a site called Beatbox.
Oh,
Beatbox. Yeah, it's very basic music creation tool, like online tool, and I wanted to just experiment to see how much can I do with the most shitty sounding synthesizers and the least used like and the to use editing and mixing as little as I can to convey the like the basic feeling I want to this track to, I don't know, to show. So yeah, I do some kind of experiments from time to time. I also, when I just started making music about like 11 years ago, 12 years ago, like of course I could not afford all these expensive contact libraries and anything like that. So of course I downloaded it from very kind Russian people who shared it, and I didn't understand why it does not sound good. Because how can it be? It's a string library that is 70 gigabytes and it has all the articulations and everything. Why it does not sound good? But I didn't understand a lot of like the actual performance techniques of the strings and everything like that. So I quickly like threw all these expensive libraries away and started from the very basic and free ones to like slowly grow on the understanding of the instruments. And when I could finally afford the all these libraries, I just bought a complete and basically learned every instrument it contained to like feel myself comfortable within the plugins they included in complete.
are there any specific things you look for when trying to get a plugin?
Again, it depends on what I want to do. Yeah, because I don't make music for other people anymore, I don't really need any specific plugins like or like Oriental instruments or some specific synthesizer sounds or anything like that. So I don't know. I think I'm quite satisfied with everything I've got right now. And if when I don't want to create, for example, very realistic orchestrations and like symphonic tracks from scratch from like, every individual instrument, but I still want to make something like that. I just use like something like Core Game 1 or D50 or Expand like very basic, very not very realistic sounding synthesizers, very cheap ones. And for example, if you take a listen on my latest video when I uploaded the tracks from 1000, it's about 50-50 in regard of instruments. There are tracks with the most realistic strings and horns and woodwinds and everything like that, and there are tracks with the most basic ones without any articulations, without any automation or
And it still
anything
sounds
like
really good.
yeah, and it still sounds like coherent and not there is not a very big difference because it's still yeah. Sorry for my
You're good. I think that was a really good answer.
to construct a sentence. It takes some time.
I think those are, yeah, I think it's really cool how you can manage to make a basic sound on its own still sound really pretty. And yeah, it's inspiring for me as an artist, and I'm sure it is for other people listening. Do you have any advice for anyone listening who would want to improve at making music that evokes feelings in other people? Maybe if they're feeling something and they want to create that feeling into a song.
Mm, yeah, I don't know actually, because um, most of the experience with music I got, especially the music education, it was so long ago, and it wasn't even my decision to go to music
Hmm.
school. I would have never started making music. For example, if my parents decided that I don't need to go to music school. So I can just say, because at the moment my music process is like I just sit. I can be in the worst mood. I can feel very bad, but I will still do what I want to do because of the years of um,
Experience?
yeah. I think I'm misleading my answer. I don't really know what to answer
You're good. I think maybe I could have.
because the idea of uh like just get an education and it will be good. No, of course not. But I can say anything else because I have an education, and I can say just do as I do. It's really easy. It's nothing difficult. I can say that either. So I don't know. The music making process is so like mechanical to me that I don't put much thought into it, and it still comes out full of. It is not emotionless as a result, but I don't know how to do it. I really don't, because when I tried to make emotional music on purpose, it was back in the time I uh, created this screamo band stuff because I was usually screaming in the microphone. Yeah, like literally. But right now, I don't know. Really.
That's okay. Well, yeah, I think what you're getting at is, or at least my understanding of it is, actually, I don't know. I'm sorry. It'll give me a lot to think about.
Yeah, I always watch different interviews and podcasts, not just yours, but with other people, and they always come up with something to say. I like I envy that like full understanding of what they are doing because I don't have that. So this interview might come out is not very informative.
No, I
I
think all your answers have been great. I've I've learned a lot about how you kind of just your way of thinking a little bit more. And I think it's cool how basically you when you make stuff, you always make stuff to have a basically have some kind of importance in whatever game you're making. So basically
yeah.
everything you make has a meaning behind it. And I think that's really cool.
I think one more crucial detail. I think when I write music or when I write the script, like I always put myself in the shoes of who will uh, uh like
Be reading it?
what is the word? Yeah, who will be consuming this? What will they feel? Because I can't replicate my own first expression of this music because I'm creating it from scratch. And when I listen to it, to have a really like to get myself what I want a listener to get, I have to make this track, for example, and leave it be for 10 years and only then listen to it when I completely forgot about this track. And only then I can experience the same effect I want to the listener to have right away when I made this track. So I can't wait 10 years. So I believe when I make music, I like my mind is not here. It's there, like in a
It's
listener's head or in a reader's head.
yeah,
Anything that.
that's a cool way of looking at it. I've interviewed people before who have also said something similar where when they make music they think about the listener and how important it is to make music for someone else. Or not necessarily for someone else, but make music with that in mind in some
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I think that's gonna sum it up for today's interview, if you're okay with that.
yeah. Sure. Was a nice talk.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun talking to you, and thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I know it maybe you were a little nervous about it and weren't feeling as confident, but I think every answer you gave me was great, and I learned a lot, and I'm really glad that I got to talk to you today. So, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Is there anything else you'd like to promote, by the way, before we go ahead? And
Not really. I don't have anything to promote.
besides your new game?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so you can check out his work on Twitter, YouTube, Steam, and I'm not sure if there's any other places I'm missing out.
Well, there is a VK page, but it's like Russian social media. I don't really think any of your viewers will be interested in that. And I also have a Behance page for my photos.
And he has an
If someone
itch.io
is
page.
interested.
So,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, HIO too.
thanks everyone for listening. And you can listen on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and that's about it. There's also a Patreon page now. So, check that out if you're interested. I'll see you next Friday. Bye. Thanks for listening. I love you guys and girls
So sweet.
and everyone.